Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open the whole idea of nonprofit partnerships. We're going to turn what feels like a really complex topic into a strategic advantage you can actually use.
So, if you're a nonprofit leader, I bet the word partnership comes up constantly. It's always on the table. But what do we really mean when we say that? It gets thrown around so much it can start to lose its meaning.
And that's because it isn't just one single thing. Not at all. It's a whole spectrum of possibilities, from super casual to intensely formal. So today, we're going to move way beyond that vague idea and give you a clear, actionable framework.
Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on the entire landscape. Then, we'll walk through the different models, starting with the easiest ones. And finally, we'll wrap up with a playbook so you can make the absolute best choice for your organization. So, the most important thing to get right from the get-go is this. There is no single best partnership model. It just doesn't exist. The right choice for you depends completely on your goals, what you can handle right now, and maybe most importantly, the level of trust you have with your potential partner.
And that brings us to the perfect place to start. You know, the best partnerships rarely begin with a giant legal contract. They start with a relationship. They start with a conversation, maybe a simple handshake. This is where you build that all-important foundation of trust. Let's see what that looks like.
This is the ground floor. Think of it as just being a good neighbor in your community. You might promote each other's events on social media, share some resources, just generally help each other out. It's super low risk, takes almost zero formal effort, and it's absolutely crucial for building trust.
Okay, now we're taking just one small step up the ladder. What's interesting here is that this is your first little dip into formalizing things. You're not just informally helping each other anymore. You're creating an actual documented system to serve your clients better by filling in each other's gaps. It's simple, but really powerful.
So what's next? Well, once you've got that initial trust established, you might be ready to make things a little more official. This is the stage where you start putting things in writing, getting really clear on expectations so everyone is on the same page.
The classic MOU. The best way to think about this is like a formal handshake. It's not a legally binding contract, but it's a public statement about what you plan to do together. It lays out roles and commitments, which makes the whole relationship stronger and more accountable, but without all the legal headache.
Okay, now things are getting serious. A shared contract is a full-on legal agreement. This is often required by a funder who wants to see collaboration. Now, this demands a ton of coordination, super clear roles, and shared reporting. But here's the big red flag. You have to be really careful about power dynamics, especially if one organization is holding all the cards.
And that brings us to the deep end of the partnership pool. These next models, well, they represent the highest level of commitment. They require huge reserves of trust and a major investment of time and resources. You only go here when you're trying to make massive, systemic change.
On this end of the spectrum, you've got a few heavy hitters. There's the formal coalition, where a bunch of organizations band together with a whole new governance structure to tackle huge community-wide problems. Then you have acquisitions, where one organization absorbs another to grow its impact. And finally, the full merger, where two or more groups combine to create something brand new. These are definitely the heavy-duty tools in the partnership toolbox.
Whew. Okay, that was a lot, I know. We've seen the whole landscape. Now for the really useful part. How do you actually turn all this knowledge into a strategy you can start using like tomorrow?
This right here, this is basically your decision-making compass. The key is to start with your goal, not with the partnership model. Just want to stay in the loop? Informal collaboration is perfect. Trying to solve a massive community problem? You're probably looking at a formal coalition. See? It makes it so much clearer.
Of course, partnerships can be tricky. So to save you a lot of future pain, here are the 5 biggest mistakes we see people make. The really big ones? Jumping in too fast before you've built any trust. And that last one? Thinking a merger will magically save 2 struggling organizations. Spoiler alert, it won't. It just creates one bigger struggling organization. It is also so important to be realistic about how long this stuff takes. You can set up an informal collaboration over a cup of coffee, but a full merger? You're looking at 6 months to more than a year of really intense work. You just can't rush this process. And that really brings us to the single most important idea in this entire explainer. You can't fast forward a relationship. The paperwork and the formal structures, they have to follow the trust. You can't do it the other way around. Build the relationship first. Everything else comes after. So, Here's the real challenge for you now. Take this framework and think about it. What is one goal that you absolutely cannot achieve on your own? Look at this spectrum. Think about your capacity and your relationships, and ask yourself, what's the first right-sized step you could take? Maybe it's as simple as making a phone call. What could that one small action unlock for you?